Cross-tabulation can be done with categorical variables, but it can also be done with continuous variables. However, it's important that if we use a continuous variable, we create those bins or categories within the continuous variable. So I'm going to show you how to cross-tabulate a categorical and a binned continuous variable using the pivot table option in Microsoft Excel. As before, I'm using the Dog Toys Dataset, which is available on the first tab of the Visualizing Variables Week 4 Excel Dataset. It's available in class, and it's also available through a link in the description for this video. Let's start by taking a look at the dataset, and I'll show you what we're going to do with it. So here is that first tab in which we see all the variables that are available for us in the Dog Toys Dataset. We need both a continuous and a categorical variable. So we're going to be looking at the dog breed, and we're going to be looking at days to fail, which is the number of days it took for the dog to chew up a gift toy that was given to them as a thank you for completing the survey. Why would we do a cross-tabulation like this? It's because we have a research question. And in this case, the research question that we're going to answer is, what is the relationship between breed of dog and days until their gift toy was chewed up? It may be that certain breeds of dogs are more likely to chew up their toys earlier or later, and that is what we're going to find out. So let's take a look at that Excel spreadsheet again, and I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to be using the tab CrossTab's bin. And you can see that I've included only the variables that we're going to need for this cross-tabulation. Just doing that for the sake of simplicity. And we also have the ending point. Here's what the data will look like when we get finished. So you always have that so you know exactly where we're going to try to get to. Let's go back to our CrossTab's bin. I think it'd be nice to enlarge this so we can see it just a little better. All right. To create a cross-tabulation, we're going to need a pivot table. And to get a pivot table, we need to click anywhere inside of these data points. And we're going to go to the Insert tab in the ribbon. Pivot table is located here in the upper left. Click once, and it asks us to confirm the location of the data. It runs from cell A1 to C51. That has been selected by default by Excel. And we're going to put our new pivot table in the existing worksheet. And this time I'm going to use cell F3, just one cell below where it says CrossTab's bin. And now click OK. Here's where the pivot table will ultimately reside, but we first of all have to let Excel know what variables we're using. We're going to put dog breed into the rows, drag and drop. We're going to put days to fail into the columns. And we're going to use the dog variable, which is just a random identifier. That's going to go into values. There's two things I want to point out here. The first is that we're getting values of sum of dog, which is not what we want. We, in fact, want the counts. So I'm going to click on this gray I or info button, and I'm going to change the summarize by from sum to count, and click OK. The other thing you'll notice is that the days to fail has already been binned. It's been turned into those groupings or categories. This may or may not happen, depending on the data that you have. If this binning had not occurred, it would look like this. I'm going to do a right click. I'm going to go to ungroup. And this gives you a little hint as to what the data might look like. So if your data look like this, the way to fix that is simply to go to anywhere in these row labels. You do a right click, or on my Mac, I'm doing a control click. Use the group option. The data run from 1 to 20, and I want to group them by 5s. Click OK. This brings us back to where we were just a few moments ago. Really important that you know that trick, however, because if you have data that don't look like what I'm showing you here, it's going to be quite frustrating if you don't know what to do with them. So here we have these counts, and that's pretty nice, except it would be better if we could see percentages. So let me change the counts to percentages using my pivot table. To change the counts to percentages, I'm going to leave my cursor in cell G4. I'm going to go back to values where it says count of dog. Click on that gray info icon. We see we've summarized by count. But there's another tab called show data as. Right now there's no calculation, but I want to present the data as the percent of row total. Click OK. Now we have these percentages. It may be that I want to leave these as 2 decimal places. However, if I wanted to change the decimals, I could select all of the decimals that will be changed. I could go back to the Home tab and I could use the increase or decrease decimal options to, well, increase or to decrease. Now bringing it down to just 1 decimal point following the number. And that is how we create a cross-tabulation for a categorical and a binned continuous variable using Microsoft Excel.